going to be playing Ezreal today. Because I've always enjoyed a bit of Teddy Ezreal, and I'm looking forward to seeing whether he's going to be able to pull it out here today up against Henna, who is probably just really psyched to play Zeri. She's the highest win rate champion in the bottom lane, most played as well here in the LCK, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's really good at that champ. I like this Taliyah ban though. Sponge, so incredibly good at this pick in the jungle.
Taliyah to me is also one of those picks that scales with, you know, if you're a team that's in the LCK and you're struggling, picks like Taliyah, they just play themselves. I do not want to see the Nidalee priority. I'm very worried that this will just be a B1 Nidalee. I don't want that. I just want to be very upfront about that. I think Lucid showed us. Lucid,
you don't need to be upfront about it, Chronicler.
We already know.
Yeah, we know. We
I
very
know
much know.
I know it's coming. After the Skarner, it's on its way. Skarner ban might come through here, though, from BNK if they don't want to let it go, especially the Rumble already being taken off the board. Yeah, that is the main counter that we have seen within the LCK. I know other teams have experimented as that's a much better first pick. The Ashe comes through here.
I like it.
Could be for Pleta, could be for Teddy. Don't know yet, and that's one of the big power points of this pick.
I do really like this for closer, though. He has looked brilliant on the Tristana. Hate this, though. This is exactly what you were just talking about. And I don't know, like, something has gone wrong. Something has gone wrong here in the LCK. We all knew that the equation was, if not Canyon, Nidalee minus setup equals bad, right? We all knew this. This was an established fact.
Lucid showed it. He had a great game against Halma, and then yesterday,
exactly,
looked like a ghost.
I know. And then someone crept in and just said Nidalee equals good to all of the coaches, and people are like, oh, wow, that must be true. When we had this fact established, it's like someone came in and said 1 × 1 = 2. You don't just believe it. You're like, that's dumb. We know that that's not true.
No one will do that, or even worse, believe that.
I know. Crazy. Anyway, it's happened here in the LCK. BNK DRX locking away the Nidalee here. And we've got the Frog Renekton. 100% win rate on that one. And there is Xin Zhao locked away for Yehu as well. Xante to be locked in here. I'm not sure whether it's the greatest of setup for the Nidalee, but it is not nothing. And Clear pretty good on that champion as well. I think the Renekton probably will have a decent time into it, though.
Now all we are is we're one Leona for execute, 1 Rel away from this being all right. If you have a Cassante as well as an AD carry, or rather a engage support towards the... Okay, they're looking to pick Noddles. That's great. That's good. BNK DRX, they at least got the memo on that part. I still think the Nidalee is considerably harder to execute than Karthus or Brand or... Well, I wouldn't say Zyra. I feel like Zyra is maybe just leave that one.
That might just go into the Nidalee bin.
Yeah,
the other stuff
might
that you
be,
probably shouldn't give
still,
a crap.
there are so many great options that feel like they are a lot more reliable. Now, Leona is most likely, I think, here as a BNK DRX lock-in, because that also means that from that Leona, you can then go with Ezreal. You can go with the Zeri, as you point out, although I do hope that DRX ban it here.
Yeah, I would like to see a Zeri ban, especially into Henna.
Yeah.
Maybe they just think that they can get their hands on something that could just be fine anyway. Or maybe flexing the Ashe into support could allow them to play something a little bit more aggressive. We did see that yesterday. And it kind of worked sort of a bit, you know? The good old Draven Ashe.
It was good.
It worked.
It worked very well. Even though the Draven had the worst of times.
Yeah, he did. That's what I'm sort of referring to. Gumi just did not enjoy himself. But that has been a lot of his Draven experiences. As the Alistar to be locked away here, execute brilliant at this champion. So understandable.
Rakan makes a ton of sense. Pleta, kind of a standout. Pleta in so many ways resembles Delight when he was on Brionne.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Rakan priority, the decision making, all of this. So we have the mid lane here. This is one of the favorites for... This should come as absolutely no surprise, right? It's one of Yehu's favorite champions. It's one of the few matchups that we've seen be very successful in the Tristana because you can...
Outrange it.
Negate it.
Something about Linear.
Yeah, exactly. Negate it and punish her when she jumps in. The Zeri seems like a no-brainer. The one thing I think you might be a little bit worried about is that the pressure that Ashe has in lane can be tough to deal with. And if you lock in Jhin, that is kind of your main consideration, as that does mean That's Hannah not going to be playing, I think, the pick that he has looked the best on.
Yeah.
Which,
I don't know
I
if
think
picking Jhin ever makes me happy, Chronicle.
It
That's
never-
where
we-
I'm getting to.
We know it never does, but looking at this, I think that you have great front line with the Jhin and the Nidalee. I do think you have a decent amount of, you know, some poke, some follow-up when your tanks go in. I think this composition from BNK Firx makes sense. It plays to their strengths, most notably Closer playing on something that can work in melee range and execute and engage. I kind of like both compositions here. I think that the DRX composition in mid-game skirmishes is way stronger, but they don't have a traditional front line, which in the late game might be a little bit tough for them to execute, whereas being DRX, obviously, this is as easy of a front to back as it gets.
It's very true. I do think that with the amount of single target lockdown that they do have, plus follow-up, it should be something where they can kind of navigate it to a point where they can make lopsided teamfights work in their favor. But these things are easier said than done. And so we'll just have to see as we jump onto the Rift what is going to happen here. I didn't know that SpongeBob was a fan of DRX until Sponge joined the team. And now he has. Now the whole gang is here as well, celebrating BNK Firx. I think they're going to have to celebrate pretty hard. I love this for DRX. I think it's so much comfort, and I think that is really important for a team that is sort of finding their footing here in the LCK. And BNK Firx, they have Nidalee, and they didn't obey the equation. Let's dive under the Rift for game one.
시한사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Did we just... Was there like... What happened there? Why was there like double cheers?
I feel like on both sides.
Yeah.
There was
I imagine if you're on stream, you could be like, oh, was there like a weird audio issue? No, that was a crowd issue.
Oh, maybe they were expecting a doo-doo-doo. So not everyone was ready.
Ah.
Yeah, that must be it.
There are a lot of ex-Challenger players on the Rift
Right?
in this game, so that does make a fair bit of sense. Raptor has decided to counter the issue by just picking Kenyon's skin. So that's how you sort of get it done. Speaking of which, you can see getting some early vision here. Raptor going to be spotted. Not going to be too much of an invade or anything like that. Closer going to return the favor on the other side. Sim and Yehu just going to be hanging out here in this mid lane. Already just diving on in is Closer. Finding the biggest of trades, but it's about sending a message, I think, in the early game.
Do it while you can. Eventually becomes a lot riskier to just jump in. We also see Yehu going for Scorch, going for Mana Flow Band, and obviously Ari just really looking to try and play as aggressive early on. As we all know, we will say this every single
Alistair
time.
level.
The Alistair level, it's like the Tristana Alistair level to power spike. Remember that combo when that was a thing in bottom
Oh,
lane?
I loved it, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Level 3, 2 points in rocket jump? Oh,
yeah.
baby.
For the all-in. It means you don't get a lot of control over the lane here. Do you think that that's not really why you pick the Alistair nor the Jhin? Main thing here in the early game is going to be taking a look at how both of these junglers are going to path. As Frog is
He is
really
a practiced crocodile.
yeah, which is ironic because his name is Frog.
Yeah, and also crocodiles are not actually amphibious as well, so they don't have that much in common with frogs.
No, they just live in
They
water.
live in the water, but they can't actually breathe underwater.
Well, that's why you always can like see them, right? Like
Yeah, they will get the little nose popping up.
yeah.
They can spend a lot of time underwater though, so they
I'm sure
seem
they're
pseudo in.
Crocodiles never cease to amaze me, man. They're truly an apex predator.
They were
know,
it's an
unchained.
example of evolution being unnecessary.
Well, no,
because they just got it right
they
at
just
the beginning.
it's just done.
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't need anything to go differently.
we sorted it out.
It's really impressive, frankly.
It is. All right, here on the bottom side, Execute making it to level 3. Feeling like he has a little bit more threat here. And the follow-up from Heno definitely will be there as this lane goes on. I'm certainly just looking forward to seeing what's going to happen as junglers start to pay a visit. Sponge was moving over. Good Scryer's Bloom there from Raptors. Spot him out. Of course, his position now going to be well and truly known as well.
Fight, fight, fight!
Oh, who is going to be able to get the smite is the question, as Raptor is just walking on over, and we have a bit of biffo here towards the bottom side. Executor's being lit on fire. Teddy just turning and burning, looking for this one. The flash does come through, but Teddy, he's flashing over. He'll find the first blood, and Henna cannot do anything about it.
That's why I was saying fight, fight, fight. I know these two teams, Atlas.
I thought you were referring to the junglers. I didn't realize that it was just all going to be this 2v2 happening out of nowhere where the scuttle gets completely forgotten about.
I frankly do not care who fights, but people were gonna fight, and it is, as you know, you might expect, Execute ends up going in first as Yehu.
Yeah, is that spear missing, but the charge is going to come on through there as the swipe comes down. Raptor was slowed for a long time, gets the pounce just in the nick of time, and makes it out with 100 health. A couple of flashes were invested for it, but Yehu is still dead.
A little bit dicey there, but ends up making it work. Is a double flash investment though, which I do think is heavy, but they get the kill. As here, I don't know. I think that early on especially, the amount of power that Ashe has is kind of insane once she gets her PTA. And Rakan's there. So yeah, you go in on only Teddy, but then Pleta just jumps in front, tanks the initial damage, and then the long trade, you're not going to win. Take another look here, even without the spear hitting. Closer is the one that initially takes aggro, which is what ends up making the play work, right? So by the time that Raptor gets slowed, he takes 2 turret shots, but I think nicely done there by BNK, getting the early kill. And you want to try and keep this way down as much as possible, because you know eventually he is going to scale into an absolute poking menace.
And I think you also probably want to try and keep his Crocodile down, but Frog is saying absolutely no to that one. He is farming in between turrets, he is demolishing plates, and he is having a great time. And might sound like bias in my voice, and that's because it is. It's K'Sante losing a lane, and I love seeing it.
Oh, I was going to inquire as to your predictions. I respect the K'Sante losing a lane. That's completely valid.
There is also, you know, but that's, I don't want to get into spoiler territory when it comes to our episode of the Pog State that's going to be coming out next week, because it will be a banger, and not in a positive way for me so far.
Well, you didn't lose last time, Atlas. We were building up to that.
That's
all
true, actually.
And then you were third.
It was so weird. I definitely should have lost, but I think I can definitely lose this time. I took some extra risks.
If you really put your mind to it.
Yeah, you would have thought that, you know, KT in first place was the biggest risk possible, but I think I've managed to figure out some different ways to do it.
Raptor taking a bit of a gamble here. Doesn't have prio towards top.
Yeah, mid lane seems pretty neutral as well, so Raptor not feeling incredibly comfortable. Speaking of which, we've got Pleta with a grand entrance moving towards this bottom side. Henna taking the brunt of the damages. Now Raptor, what happened? There are so many bad guys here, and he is just going to get turned into mincemeat. That's going to be Sponge locking down the kill onto his opposite number, and they will be able to transfer that into the remaining grub as well. Man, I really do want some, I want to know the preamble up to that one.
Okay, I got an inkling that Raptor, you know, just being Nidalee, did not expect the Apex Predator to suddenly show up. So Frog shows up.
They're very dangerous
in
over
your
short
jungle.
Distances, though. They're very similar to dwarves.
No, I think Frog just caught Raptor off guard.
Yeah.
And as we can see in the replay, that's what happened.
And he probably just wasn't allowed to be there, right? Yehu actually managing to get some control of the mid lane. And Teddy pretty happy. Although actually kind of looks nonplussed, but also they were winning trades towards that bottom side as well. I mean, this is DRX looking a lot like a well-oiled machine here. And this goes against what we saw from this team last week, right? Like, it was a messy series against Brion, and then they weren't quite able to get over the line outside of that. So seeing this from DRX really helps us put them into the conversation of, you know, 6th and 7th rather than 9th and 10th, right?
Right? I gotta say, they won a game against Homa Life as well, and at the time, we were mostly like, oh, Hanwha.
Yeah.
Well, what you doing? But what if?
I mean, it's the Kwangdong theory, right? Like, what if Kwangdong actually are second place in the LCK, because they actually are second place in the LCK, you know?
I just want to make clear to everyone that I do not know what Atlas has done in his prediction, in his overreaction. So I'm just I'm trying to decipher it. I'm like looking for hints.
Yeah,
You know, I'm trying to figure out.
read it.
The one thing I feel confident on is the fact that you probably put KT smack dab in the middle.
Oh,
having
I learned
learned
from my mistakes.
a
Yes,
valuable
yes,
lesson
yes.
on probability. So, thus far, I think DRX looked really good here in the early game. One of the big things for BNK is going to be how can you utilize this in Italy in setups. I think Cuz showed us a really good example of even if the early game goes kind of abysmally, you can still win a lot of Drake fights just by hitting a spear or two on the backline. And we'll have to see if BNK can play around that, because Raptor right now is trying, but him alone is not enough. And this team needs to sync up if they want to contest this, and right now it doesn't looking like it's that likely.
Yeah, he wants to be able to get over it. The curtains have been called, as Fledder taking a fair bit of damage. Spear will connect, but the Drake will be secured here by Sponge. DRX just going to get themselves out of there. Oh, another nice spear onto Pledder. I don't know whether the Rakan is going to be entirely perturbed by the whole thing. 600 gold the difference here between the two teams, but it is a grub advantage and Drake advantage for DRX, so I guess it's a little bit larger than that. The thing that I've been impressed with is Yahoo's ability to have control of this mid lane.
I was just about to say, he died, and he's still basically even in CS. He's going to be able to get it back in here as well.
Yeah,
on this cannon wave, TP back to his lane.
And having control of the push as well is something that we haven't seen into Tristana, even with pretty good picks into it as well. So kudos to Yahoo and how well he's playing the way. Definitely one of his better picks just in general, but also just playing exceptionally well. Closer taking a couple of turret shots, not super happy about how that one's going. Oh, that was so sad. Exactly the wrong amount of health on that cannon. It's one of those things, it just happens sometimes.
Sad
Say unforced error.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, forced error.
I guess.
Out of
yeah. Set times in the Mushroom Kingdom. My personal headcanon is that which is not true, by the way, is that Yahoo is actually pronounced like Yahoo!
Yeah,
like Mario.
Yeah. That was a different. That's like the third jump of the.
Oh yeah,
jump.
you got the.
Yeah.
Oh, Yahoo!
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
that one.
exactly.
It was the cadence of your.
So that third jump, that's how I imagined that.
Man, he does a lot of flips in that jump. That's very, very cool.
Well, not on this character, you know, Wei's rather stationary.
Yeah, that's true. They need to sort of swap positions, right? If he was playing Tristana.
Oh.
I mean, Rocket Jump is actually, Yahoo, you know? Like
It is.
It's
You're Goomba stomping on it.
Exactly. We got a bit of a team fight coming up, so let's focus on that a little bit as the teleport does come on through. There's a flash head bar pulp to come down as well, but it is an absolute mess inside that pit, and it's clear that comes out on top. Closer is out of there, keeps himself alive. They lock down this last grub as the curtains are being called, but unfortunately they're not going to find their markers. Frog does manage to soak a bit of it. Execute will be turned into a stake though, and that is in the end a 1-for-1, I believe. But grub advantage, never mind, grub advantage goes to DRX, so it's just relatively even, slightly DRX favored in the end.
BNK also investing a lot, I think, in trying to make that play work, right? Look at the summoners that they've thrown into this, look at the TP. It makes sense, because you look at this, executing clear in the front line, but it takes a while for Hannah to actually be here, and at that point, you get your kill onto Sponge, which is impressive in of itself, but you don't have closer. So your biggest and most consistent damage dealer isn't there, then Hannah isn't able to connect a lot of the shots. So Execution ends up going in the end just to try and, you know, safeguard the rest of his team so they don't get over-chased. It's a bit messy.
It is. And you said, look at the summoner spells, but I instead like to look at the plays and look at the moves. That's what I do, and I really thought that they looked pretty cool inside of it. So I'm going to say it's even.
Did you like the documentary?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I especially liked that Doe was there and got to like react to it. That's my favorite part.
I'm sorry to do this to you, but I have to. Did you see the tweet that some people made about that being the first time that they ever saw? That they've never seen before the face of the person who made the call.
Oh no! I
don't know which caster it was, and I've never seen his face up until the documentary.
My God! Well, I guess it does make sense. Not everyone was here when it was Dora and Monty running the show here at the LCK.
Yeah,
we owe much to both of those gentlemen.
I figured you would.
Yeah, actually, I found just the other day. There's a group photo of it's me, Achilleos, Valdez, Doa, And Wolf. Wolf is just there, but it's the group of us
Wolf was
play-by-plays.
just there.
The LCK play-by-plays throughout the ages.
That's
from about a year ago or two. Just very, very cool.
It's just that you can actually directly trace the lineage, you know, how you do. Yeah. This game is dead even, by the way. Just,
it is.
Just in case that
it's
everyone's
locked up.
wondering. I also am not 100% sure which composition I prefer, because again, on one hand, I think DRX has some parts that scale insanely well, the way most notably. On the flip side, BNK has the easier comp to play out when you get to the mid to late game. As long as they can find engages, which I don't know if they'll be good, but it's BNK, so they'll find engages and go in on them.
I get a little
See how
bit.
that's going to work.
Oh, actually, I don't really need to worry too much about it. I was worried about the damage profile, but it's only really Frog that's going to be playing any sort of frontline, and he is going to be a bruiser, so not going to be building too much armor. DRX have a good spread of damage, so Clear having this Thornmail is not going to be end of the world, much like it was for, say, KT in our last series, for example. This is going to be much more about, like you say, Yehu being able to land this damage, get things done. But I think this fight coming up is going to be absolutely huge. Clear, walking on over just to try and push Pletter away as we look to get ready for this dragon.
All right, let's take a look at this. Frog is going to try and look for a flank. We see BNK also very ready for this. And Sponge is going to try to split up the fight. On one end, we have Yehu is going to try and hit as much poke as possible. And on the flip side, Same is going to go for Raptor. So those are the things we're going to take a look at as we get into this fight. And I think DRX want to try and create chaos. BNK look for that classic front to back.
So far, it's a lot of spears missing, but a fair bit of Yehu's abilities actually connecting. Most of them onto Clear, so he is able to tank a bit of it, but Execute going down to about 3/4. Henna getting sniped as well. And the more they do this, the more they just traipse around the jungle, the more of these abilities are just gonna land. And they get some control, and it looks like it's gonna be 2 Drakes to nothing in favor of DRX. And if this is what the setup and execution's going to look like in this game, then BNK is gonna need to
Double TP.
find something better. As double TP, and
It's Tristana.
It's Tristana, and they would never, like, I think that was sort of like a race to see who gets the minions.
So I imagine they were just trying to bait, maybe.
I think actually it was just miscommunication.
Yeah, that's probably most likely, because Frog then immediately backs and just
Yeah. They just forgot to call it all that accurately. That's absolutely fine. These things happen. We see double-watered brushes all the time. Okay. Sponge audaciously charging around his Krug camp, and Pletter just getting some information here. Spear going to be avoided, of course. Pretty tricksy is the old Rakan, so we're not going to get too upset about it. Control Ward going down though. And Closer just really wanting to start knocking down these turrets. Would have been nice for BNK if they were able to actually get a few more of these grubs. Of course, Tristana benefits a lot from that, but should still be able to push pretty effectively as they look for the first turret blood. No team actually taking a turret down yet at 17 minutes.
Yeah, that's also with Herald being taken. I
can't remember where the Herald was used.
I think it was in mid, and it just didn't, you know, it got a charge off, and that was kind of the end of it. I've got a feeling that this game, this is just a little preamble to a whole lot of shenanigans.
I think that the shenanigans are waiting for us.
I know they're right around the corner, because
yeah.
I'm looking at this. I think both of these compositions have a way in to like get back from a game that seems lost. In the case of DRX, is getting onto the enemy backline. In case of BNK, it's, you know, just Execute finding a big engage, Closer.
Or like hit 3 spears in a row and someone's dead, and then you just win a lopsided
It don't
fight.
even need to like hit, like kill them, right? Like just just a spear on Teddy.
A couple of spears on Pletter, and like, how do they engage?
They don't. Although Pletter honestly shouldn't get.
No,
you know, shouldn't get hit.
He was hit by the most of the spears in the last little
very true.
The Drake setup, but that's all right. He's the one that has to go around and get these wards out. Cinder's going to be picked up by everyone, as we do have an Infernal Soul. Back-to-back Chemtex into Infernal. It's like least fun into most fun. As Clear going to have that one dodged. Arrow going to connect onto the Cassante as he was queuing there as well. And Teddy going to lock up the kill. Wow, they CC'd Kazante? That was very, very cool. Okay, Closer looking for an opportunity here, but it's going to be Pleta finding the grand entrance. And Yahoo just says no.
Nicely done there, DRX. They know that B&K is looking for the cross map. Don't actually find anything.
I know it's pretty early to say, but just feel like DRX look way better this week.
I'm kind of with you. Yeah. So taking another look at this play, one of the big things here is Teddy finding this from the fog, so not a lot of time to respond, and then there was a very small window there where Claire could have used his W before the stun came in from Frog.
He used you instead.
Yeah.
It was just really unfortunate.
It's also possible, we don't know. He might just have had it in cooldown, right? Which is...
That's true.
Will make a lot of sense as well. Maybe it was used in an earlier trade. We didn't get to see Clara's cooldowns, which I think makes the most sense because I feel like every Kazante, also because of the damage reduction, would just hold it there. And Execute was on his way. So if you have it, you can go W, then Execute shows up, and then you can like ult W again, and then maybe that's enough to turn it. Not the case. Right now, I think DRX, particularly with their objective setup, actually look very clean. If they can get to a soul point early on, they have a lot of damage threat on Baron.
And we can see already, I mean, Teddy's got 2 items, 201 on this Ashe. Pretty far ahead when it comes to farm as well, as you can see here. Just happily lapping up these minions. And Teddy's going to remain a pretty massive threat as this game goes on. Saw just how pivotal he is when it comes to setups and things like that, but his DPS is going to be pretty important moving into the later stages of the game. Do almost have the Frozen Fist done for clear, so he, like, I mean, Teddy's still never going to be able to win a fight.
There you go.
Unless there's someone peeling for him a lot. And like you say, there it is. 2 items do come through. We do have the Fidget Spinner done for Closer also. As Raptor going to spear Pleta, and Pleta does not care about it whatsoever. Arrow going to, gets the flash out of Raptor. Wasn't actually able to get towards the pounce quickly enough as the spear. That's going to land once again. That one's a bit of a better one, but it's going to be Sponge locking this one down. And as we ticked over to 20 minutes, it's going to mean a lot of mana on everyone on DRX. Feels good about that one. Closer does have teleport as, Raptor, unfortunately, going to be interrupted and takes a lot of damage there as well.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's it. Like, what are they going to do?
You get the cross map, you know, you get the turret. It's a good amount of gold being found, but it's not a good trade. Atlas, you stay within relative gold parity, but the power of having a soul point is so big.
And Frog can come and pick this one up, so it's not going to be inner turret gold. I think if Closer was threatening an inner turret and they take that, that's a big injection.
Then you're feeling great.
Yeah, you're feeling pretty good, but it's just an outer on the top side, and it's just not really all that good.
B&K have a composition that I look at, I'm like, at any point in the game, if they pull the trigger at the right time, like, you can win. They're not that far behind in gold. I feel like they're playing like they are, if that makes sense. I'm looking for this team that has been, for the last, what, like 6 years, ever since the Sandbox days, been synonymous with, we see champion, we go in and we kill champion, and I'm really seeing that fire here. And if you just sit and poke, like, obviously Nidalee could do it. There we go!
Okay, there is the execute that we know and love. Is all right, Yahoo gonna try and get him out of here, but he's already lit on fire. The arrow sails by, looks fantastic. Yahoo just controlling the battlefield, though, as Sponge is protecting him so beautifully. And they tried to do it 3 versus 1, but he stays alive. He gets out, and even Pleta's going to survive here as the explosive charge. It isn't quite enough. And B&K, yes, they managed to take down the turret, but they're once again getting corralled. I think they know that this is a bad news story.
Oh, look at Frog.
Yeah.
It's the deep flank.
That's a very deep flank, and you can see this Sponge just keeping them interested. Teddy, he does have the barrier available. Frog isn't quite here yet either, is now clear, dashes in, gets the all out, and wins the 1v1 at the end. Yahoo's going to be able to find that one, though, and now Frog with the Dominus setup. It is so messy, but I think DRX is going to be able to clean it up here. They had to sacrifice Teddy for it, but they will not leave anyone standing on the side of B&K.
I don't know if you guys caught that, but at the end of that, Teddy did a little dance in his chair. And a happy Teddy
there you
is
go.
A happy crowd as we take another look here. And I haven't finished my sentence. And Like, execute.
No
double dash.
hesitation. He heard you
But,
talking.
yeah, but they're not synced up. Like, he walks up, flashes over the wall, and there's like a good second before the rest of his team actually gets to follow. So it gives the time to DRX to respond. And the turret is still standing, so that needs to get taken down first. BNK are always funneled in to try and make a play. I think this call from Closer is 100% the right one, but it doesn't matter, right? You don't have your front line, and even with the heroics of Flair, he ends up going down. And then the Crocodile was there, scarily approaching with his toy eyes lit.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you're ever getting out. And DRX, I agree with you, Atlas, in this game are just looking a whole lot better.
Woo! There he is. And he's the only one that died in the fight as well.
Look at him go!
He's like kills them all and then he just dances about. Oh man, and then gets punished immediately. All right, well, that was sobering, wasn't it? As we come back to live, Teddy having a little dance and then straight back to a gray screen. That's ice cold. Okay.
Yeah, not sure what happened there, but I imagine it's like a combination of spears, Closer jumping in, and obviously having the IE and using his ult. As I imagine Execute died.
Yeah.
Because we did see
Jonas Strong had the little pan over.
Oh, Teddy. Oh, Teddy.
That is beautiful. And
'Cause
look at
without
the
that, there's no
ultimate
way to
cooldown.
Yeah.
It just came back up.
Yeah. So is it really just...
I
Closer's
guess
really
just,
trying, man.
Yeah, he just stacks it up and then he does.
There is, of course, also Henna laying down supportive fire, which ends up being big. I also want to give credit to Yehu. I feel like particularly in these types of scenarios where it's like he doesn't need to be the carry, he doesn't need to be the main character, but he's currently sitting at like 4-1 and 2.
Yeah.
He's just pumping out damage, doing his job.
And this is the sweet spot for Wei just in general, right?
Yeah.
Is if you're just there, able to do it, and you're not drawing too much attention, because if BNK really just wanted to kill him, he'd die. Because he doesn't have, like, yes, you can play from range very, very well, but the spacing's really, really difficult into all of this possible engage. The problem is that there are too many threats on the side of DRX for BNK to deal with.
This is a must-win for BNK, Atlas. You can't give over Infernal.
Infernal Soul just massive. That's the snare, though, and look at that! The kitchen sink just rains down from upstairs. The Spiraling Despair is named so perfectly here. And that's the jungler down. Clear now having to go in because they can't let this go through. But look at it. It's Teddy free firing the entire time. Closer tries to get it done, but the knockup is kind of beautiful here from Sponge. And Teddy A goes down to 100 health, but he gets the work done that he needs to. And now Henna, no front line left standing. In fact, no one else on his team. And Yahoo is just chasing him down. He's going to miss that Q, though. And Henna is allowed to walk away, but that is going to be the Infernal Soul.
Not running the risk of getting taken down, but what a win there from DRX. And I know this could be an opportunity for a free Willy moment, but I'm not even going to put that on Raptor. I'm going to put it on Nidalee.
Yeah.
I feel like this champ, again, because Raptor needs to do this.
We've seen Nidalee's die at exactly this place.
Raptor, because they need, like, if you don't get value, if you're not poking, it's not happening. But it's Yehu actually there who ends up connecting the poke. Teddy follows up. And then even with Execute getting an ulti-man knockoff, it just doesn't matter. Because the fights are Closer outputs more damage than I thought a Tristana could in such a low time frame with, like, no front line, but it's not enough. And now DRX,
and this
sizable lead.
Yeah, the Protect the President, though, coming out of DRX is absolutely heroic. I think Sponge and Pletter, particularly, they know their job. And that is, make sure they don't get to Teddy, so then they don't even think about Yahoo. And that is working every single one of these fights, because they are beelining. They really need to get on top of Teddy to take him out of these fights. And yes, successful ganks, things like this, he's died a couple of times, but Yahoo's just kind of artillery fire from the back, and it is something that B&K cannot really deal with at this point in time. It's just feeling like too many fights that they've managed to win, as in goes Sponge once again. Raptor's gonna have to flash. The arrow was sailing through as well. Pleta finds the knock-up, but maybe they've overstepped as Battle Dance gets Pleta out of there, but Sponge may not be as lucky. Does have the Crescent Guard available though, as he dives on top of Closer. Dangerous here, but they do manage to trade it back in the end. Top laner for jungle. Baron on the map though. Certain possibility as Raptor's back up and available once again, but I just don't know whether they'll have the damage.
DRX, it was a little dicey.
Yeah.
A little scary there as they chase heavily. Sponge able to buy a lot of time, like particularly these ins out ultras of things like Jhin. Get a ton of value out of that, and you end up taking down Clear, but that could have easily gone the way of B&K if they weren't careful. Initial play, I think, makes a ton of sense. Try and find Raptor once he's found. The moment you get this flash though, that's Nash. And what they're thinking is if we kill Raptor, it's a guaranteed Nash. But that does mean that Pleta, Yehu, and Sponge are just kind of in no man's land. Then we get a really messy fight where on one end, they're focusing down the jungler. On the other end, they're focusing down Clear, who is not tanky enough to deal with all these people hammering away at him.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Especially not Yehu, who has 3.5 items now completed.
Yeah, just Koenig ain't going to cut it in that situation.
I would say not.
But it's still... DRX, you are up 4k gold, and you have Infernal Soul. Let's keep it clean. Keep it tidy. And they should be heading forward. The main reason why I'm a little bit apprehensive is because, again, they don't have they have pseudo front line. Both Frog and Pleta are obviously decently tanky. Pleta because of Warmox, but also in general, Rakan is hard to pin down. And Frog has gone for a bruiser / off-tank build with that Renner's. Frog, by the way, I know you already highlighted it, but
yeah.
Frog on Renekton is built different. Frog in general, jury's still out.
Yeah.
Frog on Renekton, though.
I think he hasn't died yet on Renekton in the LCK.
Makes sense.
Which is pretty impressive. His execute just gets them into the pit together, and they take the Baron.
Where were you when Frog got a perfect KD? That's not something I was expecting.
On his first 3 games in a row of Renekton.
Yeah. Even then.
I was here next to you. That's where I was.
That's...
Or at least I could be if he doesn't die within the next, you know, however many minutes this game goes.
I'm sure Oaks also has a presentation ready about how this really was all about Pleta, and the fact that we're not talking about him is insane.
I think we also already know, but that story has been, it's been done before. It's been done, and we also have Ox, so we know that it will get told again.
So we don't have to?
We don't have to, no. Justice for Pleta was last week.
It's the summer of supports.
Indeed. Oh, is it the whole summer? Okay,
yes.
Never mind. So
no, it's not
Pleta,
1 week.
An absolute beast.
It's a supporting summer.
It's been so good watching Pleta be way better than the rest of his team all day today. I'm trying to make up for our lack of Pleta enthusiasm so far.
Okay, so the one thing that I want to avoid...
It took a bit of thinking.
It really did, because I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this, because this game realistically should be over. There is Infernal. The reason why I'm scared is because of moments like this.
Yep, there's the ulti as Pleta. Oh, Buster Shot, perfect timing as he stands in front of Sponge, doing his job beautifully. No curtains going to be called over this Xin Zhao. And this is the problem.
That's what I was...
You think you catch Xin, and you've never caught Xin.
Oh, no, I was saying this is the problem, is that I'm just scared that DRX is going to find a way to not win this game. And they should. Yeah. They should. I need them to win this game, Atlas, because they've been playing better for like 95% of it. They deserve it. And I just don't want to see Sponge die. I don't want to see Frog just walk into an unwarded brush, and it's looking like it's not happening. And you know who saved Sponge there?
Pleta.
Pleta.
Oh boy, we knew it. We were just getting ready to say exactly that.
All or nothing here for B&K.
The Elder Flip. This is why they gave up Soul. It's so they could just get to this flip phase.
Ooh, if that's
33 minutes into the game. Yeah, that's it's almost a dead Pleta. As Trap goes into the brush. Execute on a decent flank angle. Pleta trying to get him out of there though, so does at least spot out exactly where this cow is. Elder being tanked here. by B&K. Is the arrow going to connect onto the Kazante? They just pile in on top as Execute. He's just not there in time. And Clear, unfortunately, is just wiped from the rift. The flash forward from Frog. Frog keeps that KDA alive, my friend, and he absolutely will. DRX just roll over the team fight. They can get themselves an Elder if they want to, or they can just take a Nexus. It is entirely up to them.
And DRX take a commanding win here in the first game between these two. BNK just doesn't look at any point like they were able to play their game. Execute having a really rough one. Clear as well. That front line not feeling too tanky, but I gotta credit where credit is due. DRX, they look like a well-oiled machine here in game number one.
This is feeling like a big turnaround, and they had one of their better performances of the year in their first week, right? Going 1-1 is not something that they were boasting many times last season, but this is looking like a step up already over pretty much their direct competition up against B&K. Look at that big grin on Teddy's face there as well, of course, surrounded by so many of these young guns, and the young guns really kept it together in this game. Pletter, of course, we don't really include him there. He's way too good to be considered one of these young gun rookie type guys.
Yeah.
But Frog, absolutely fantastic. Still unkilled on the Renekton. That is all of those years of unneeded evolution coming into play. He's already perfect, this specimen. And yeah, that's a pretty good performance coming out from DRX.
Yeo and Teddy, for me, the main the main two characters. I feel like a vote for either one would have been fine. I think Teddy, his early game and his arrows, actually, as an AD carry Ash, absolutely huge. Yeo, self-explanatory. His poke and his catch at that soul point, absolutely huge.
Yeah, I think Yahoo POG is probably where I would have gone, but I don't mind between either of them, and a vote for a dancing Teddy is a good thing. We're going to go to a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break it down, and we'll have game 2. We'll see you there.
빨리 뒤 못 들어 막혀줄게요 야 이거 나 궁 나쁘게 흥행 스킬 연기해줘 스타트한테 야 알리 갈려있는데 이거 한번 봐도 돼 앞으로 알리 갈려있어 야 산테 때려봐 터져 산테 좀 알리 내가 막아줄게 알리 궁강 있다 아 싸움 빨리 알았어 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 점프 미드가 야 죽여 야 끌어 죽여 렛츠고 얘들아 미드가 안 끝나 이거 나 잠깐 미드 갈게 안녕하세요. Let's go.
Announcer. There we go. Okay. That's very cool. Speaking of cool, drafts. Drafts are cool, especially when they don't have Nidalees in them. We do have a change-up of where the teams are when it comes to the positions in the draft.
Drafts are
now
same,
being
right?
occupied by being...
Well, the Ash, obviously, is different.
Yep.
Rumble, Maokai still remain in place. Oh, his perfect KDA.
Oh, it's saved. It is saved. I actually like it more when it's definable. I remember when Chovy died for the first time when he had that 200 KDA, because beforehand we were dividing by 0 and it was really sad, so it was just a dash forever. And then as soon as he died that first time, it's like, boom, 200. Loved it. At least, I don't think it was quite that high, but it was like 125 at least. That was so silly. All right, the Talia going to be locked away. Feels a bit like a pick away, but we know that Closer has been so good on this pick. Sponge, of course, needs to have that denied from him. And now, what do they have in their back pocket? With the Renekton ban, I'm hoping that that means we do not see Nidalee locked in. But Skarner, that's something that we're okay with. And Tristana going to be locked in alongside it.
Okay, so far so good. So far so good. DRX, we are looking solid. Do have the Vi Talia combo come through. Shouldn't come as a surprise. Insanely strong. Raptor is going to have a much easier time as well. We keep saying it, but Nidalee is a very specific champion that should be picked in specific spots. One of those spots can be always if you are Canyon.
Yep.
And you have a skin on the champion. Outside of that, stay away.
Just
DRX.
using Canyon skin does not do it. Does not allow it, as Teddy's already 1-0 on this pick. Looked fantastic on the Kaiser last time he played it. And they're going to pick it at very high priority here without seeing anything on the bottom side of the map yet. They can now try and curate what they're going to see in the bottom lane, and maybe they're looking for a little bit of a jungle counter pick. How much spiciness, how much cooking has Sponge been doing?
If Sponge really could, if he plays Morgana jungle.
Oh my god, it's so free. Oh my, this is so genius, Chronicler. What they did is they left the jungle picks open so that there's a free ban. Because the Nidalee gets banned, they get saved from having to play it.
What? Yeah,
there's so many layers,
you know what?
man.
I'll allow it. I'm with it. I don't actually think that we're going to see the Morgana come through. Obviously, my expectation is this is an R for Nautilus. If it doesn't get banned away here.
Yep.
By BNK, which I really think they should. I think Kai'Sa Nautilus is such a strong 2v2. It's going to be the Xin Zhao instead. There is also the potential that this is a Skarner jungle. Like, could still be the case, in which case they can just rotate. And now they can choose, do they want to go Skarner jungle? Do they want to go R5 counter pick here? They do already know the top lane matchup for Frog, so I don't think that's the case. As we do have the Leona instead. I really like the Nautilus. I think Nautilus is absolutely insane. And I think a Zeri pick is also very obvious here. So
yeah.
I feel like the Nautilus angle would have been amazing there. They're going to go for Leona instead. Obviously still a really strong pick here for Plata, as what is it going to be?
No, that doesn't make me as excited. It is going to be a lot of hybrid damage coming out from the Kai'Sa, so I guess they don't need to feel too priced into an AP jungler, but Viego is not, it's not making me feel all the things.
I like the Viego in that you have a guaranteed way to cancel the Vi ult, so it takes away one of the targets. I think already it's kind of hard because Vi ulting Skarner, I feel like we can all agree that that's not a thing. Vi ulting a Tristana is actually quite tough as well because of between Buster Shot and W, it is quite hard to lock her down reliably, even though you can't Buster Shot Vi, you can Buster Shot away people that try to follow up.
Yep. And if you Vi ult Leona, then DRX wins the fight.
So I do like it in that regard. I am with you though. I think that this doesn't inspire as much confidence as the previous drafts. And looking at what BNK have,
it's a lot of cool champions.
That's a lot of power, particularly that mid-jungle duo. We'll see if that's going to be enough.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more of an honest game here for DRX moving into this one. I think they capitalized a lot on the fact that these Nidalee compositions have been very difficult for teams that are not Gen G to play. And so now, going to be a very different story. Vi is certainly one of those picks that you can just kind of plug and play, and we've seen it find so much success. Closer's Talia also absolutely amazing, and he didn't even look bad in the last game, honestly. It felt like Closer versus the world.
And Hannah Zeri as well?
Oh yeah, he's very happy with that. There is a Skarner for the top side. Frog has found a bit of success on it so far. Let's see whether DRX can do it again or whether BNK are going to bring us to a Game 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
I feel like it's going to be very hard for me not to just think about, why isn't this a Lilia? Why isn't this a Brand? Why isn't this a Karthus? Why isn't this a Zyra? You know, as we're sort of going through. And I guess Sponge is a lot more confident on the Viego, of course, when it comes to his AP champs. You know, Nidalee and the Talia are his sort of go-to options. So it might be a champion pool thing.
Atlas,
Yes.
we can just collectively at least be happy that it's not Nidalee. Thanks to BNK, which I'm sure that if they hadn't banned it, I'm sure Sponge would have played that instead.
That's true.
So, although I'm not going to lie, this is kind of one of the drafts where I'm go, it's actually quite good. Nidalee, if you can position well.
Yeah.
Because you have double front line, you have a lot of CC, and then you have the Nidalee Tristana combo as well, which people really like.
The Nidalee Skarner definitely seems like you'd probably be able to line up a spear based on some of the a million CC that he does have.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of CC available.
It's pretty crazy that they gave another champion 2 ultimates. Thought it was just Viger, you know? But, you know, you live and learn. Teddy and Pleta already in position here in this bottom lane. I'll have to see how the Kai'Sa goes into Henna's Zeri. Okay, there's the engage. Nice pulverize. Try and interrupt here. As Pleta's going to be denied his initial salvo.
Looking at this early game, imagine Pleta and Teddy want to play very aggressive. Post 6, it gets a lot harder, which is funny. Normally, Kai'Sa is one of the champions that post 6 gets a lot more kill threat. I like the Kai'Sa pickup as well, and that it devalues the Ezreal, which we haven't seen come up.
Yeah.
Which I think it also makes sense. Out of all the AD carries, Ezreal does feel like a very specific style of pick that you can't always go for. Even though, in my opinion, on this patch, he's pretty ludicrous, and you should just play him.
Yeah.
If you're good at it, which we saw, and we know a lot of our LCK players are perfectly capable of playing this pick to the highest level.
Surprising that we didn't see it in our first series today with both Pays and Deft involved.
Yeah, yeah.
A few other options instead, as Clear is just kind of pummeling Frog here in this lane. Can it? Nailed it. No worries there at all. Clear, keeping his head in the game. And some potions going to be drank by both of our top laners. And that is going to be all we're going to see of it until something maybe happens. But I think that that is about all we really need to address as far as the top lane matchup is concerned for the remainder of the game in the 1v1.
Always got to keep your head in the game. That's very
Clear is now going to try and kill him, but no. Minimap was being a little bit scary.
Nothing too crazy happening here early on. Last time around, it was, as I say that.
Oh, Seismic Shove going to be buffered nicely here by Yehu.
Ooh.
Yehu is, he's kind of on today.
He really did have the arc of come to the LCK, don't look great, spend some time in Challengers, come back, and he's genuinely been
pretty good.
Quite good. It's nice. Even in some of their losses, right, against the Alma series, I don't feel like he was very obviously a weak point the way that I think the top side was.
Yep. There's definitely been some really positive times here. And in fact, DRX just tend to be getting that little bit incrementally better as their series go on. Speaking of which, possible opportunity here for DRX. We've got a teleport in from Frog.
I don't know if Frog has enough CC, Atlas.
Yeah, he may not have enough to set up this Viego, as Clear probably looking for a back timing, but wants to get this wave in a better spot than where it is right now. And Frog sets up that shield for himself, and oh dear, Clear just walked right into it. The flash does come out before he gets pounded into the wall, but he's Cassante. Flash forward does come in, and that is first blood going to Frog. I thought that maybe he was out, but he was not. DRX not denied.
And Sponge, really nicely done there, sneaks into the fog. And then Frog, I think, sells it well as well. You know, not making it too obvious. There's a gank imminent. And Clear is really struggling in game number 1 as well. On the Cassante, not looking much better here. We'll have to see as well, because one part of this is Clear, obviously, getting caught out. Frog finding a nice angle.
That was a bit of a cute catch there from Frog. Don't know whether he really wanted that to happen, as we're going to have a look back at this one. Sponge. Hold position, charges up the stun. And it could have been way worse, because Clear could have got slammed into the wall, and then these flashes would not have needed to happen. So that is good news for BNK, but the kill going over to this Scorpion will really help out this laning phase.
Really will. As mentioned, that's Sponge finding a really nice lane gank. I also got to flip it around as Yehu sees
We were singing his
opponent.
praises. We were saying that it was all going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it all just falls
Maybe
apart.
it's not okay. It's BNK.
Yeah.
That's rough
Yeah.
in this context
Indeed.
specifically. As we do see early grubs being traded. Raptor, as soon as 6 is hit, we gotta make some moves. We gotta utilize this vibe.
Yeah.
Gotta get something going.
There are too many people, making the hit 1993 movie reference of Free Willy. And I think Raptor really needs to start stepping up and reminding them that Jurassic Park came out at around the same time and was way better.
I'm so glad Free Willy caught on. You have no idea, Atlas.
It had such a good soundtrack, man.
I saw that movie once when I was like 7 years old, and I'm sure it was a Dutch dub.
Oh,
So, like, which
nice.
for like a lot of movies you don't have, because we're more about the subs, is Flash
That's
Force
a big old
there.
Flash. Yeah, nice work from Execute to get that one out.
And that was Closer roaming over. Did get spotted on the ward, but if he doesn't flash that, Closer ults in. And that'll be the end of it. So nicely done there by Execute, forcing it out, and good response time from Pleta.
Yep, nicely done. And all right, Closer holding on to the seismic shot very nicely so that he denies the auto attacks. But yeah, who's still heading farm, stacking up that cult, just trying to get as much done as possible on this Tristana. Will be that threat in the later stages of the game, of course. See whether he can do as well as Closer did, despite the losing game state. He was still very, very strong in these fights, eking out a lot of damage.
I'm kind of wondering when Tristana as a mid laner is going to get, because I feel like she's strong at any point, and she doesn't really get punished by anything.
Yeah.
And she's been that way for a long time now.
It's like a year and a half or something, hasn't it? Something like that?
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember. I think Chovy at first was the one who picked her up a lot.
Yep. There were quite a few.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it, although I don't feel like she's egregious, you know?
No, I think if you can just blind her in first rotation every single time.
Yeah. It sort of goes back to where Victor used to be, you know, where it's just you could always pick it. It doesn't really make you feel anything, but it's always possible.
No, I think it's more like Azir, where I'm like, why does he do everything? He doesn't need to do everything, right? Where he like both wins the early laning phase and has all-in threat and sets up for your jungler, and then also
And so now
obviously
he's
scales.
still pickable, so maybe like get Tristana to where Azir is now.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't mind that. All right, Henna and Execute holding onto the wave quite nicely here. Level 6 has been gained by Henna. And Teddy does have his killer instinct available, but you can see Sponge wanting them to bait Execute
Another lane gang.
to a bit of an engagement here as Pleta setting up for it. They know exactly what's going on here.
Raptor's on his way.
Ooh, okay, Sponge is going to back away. Now Teddy and Pleta are just going to have to wait for the wave to move up. As you said, Raptor moving on in. It is going to be this Rift Scuttler is going to be the priority target here for Sponge. He'll be able to find it. Heartbreaker has to come out though. And there is the Weaver's Wall to come in. But ult for ult, you'll take that as Sponge.
Yeah, that's the interaction we were talking about earlier. One of the reasons why it would go Viego is because he's a guaranteed way to negate these Vi plays.
That
Raptor.
it was double duty as well, because you avoid everything. As now Pleta is in so much trouble, although Eclipse is very, very strong. Teddy doing a lot of work onto Henna here at the same time. The Burst Fire not finding the targets. Extendo Beam going to be avoided by Pleta very nicely. So still just that first blood from the top side, but the game much more even than game one.
What you are seeing, though, is the impact of Taliyah. Even with Closer not having his ultimate available, I think DRX was still very, very scared to try and actually fight there, given that Taliyah, as long as she's able to just stay near the walls, able to rotate over very, very quickly. Nonetheless, you just make sure that the top laners are still here. They are.
I told Jonas Strong that we don't need to look at this anymore.
Well, he thinks, you know, it's the summer of supports, but maybe we give the top laners a little bit of love, now that they're stuck playing Skarner versus Cassandra every game. I respect that. Oh.
Waits for the... Okay, stops the back. I think that's what he was seeking with the piece of void that he was throwing out.
Yeah, we never ask what they seek.
Unless it hits someone, and then we know exactly what they're seeking, right?
True. Yeah,
The
good
Void
point.
Seeker has sought. All right, Raptor get out of there, breaks the vaults and stuff like that. As Closer comes in, has to flash. Solar Flare, I mean, Fleta just so quick on the trigger. Was immediately having to flash away. Now Grub's going to be picked up. Fleta looking for the opportunity. Zenith play goes wide. That is going to be Grub control, as FearX going to be denied their remaining 2. Still, all going to be good, and this is what happened to the Tristana in game number 1, right? Don't get all of those Grub stacks, can't sit in side lanes and just mow down turrets. It's a little bit harder. Of course, having a couple of Grubs there certainly going to help, and if they are given some time with these turrets, it could be tough. As Clear, not going to spot Sponge here, who does build himself a cool Lance. Or Sundered Sky, depending on what you want to call it. I like cool Lance, personally.
It is our right as LCK people to just make up names for whatever we want.
Yeah.
So I think you're entirely... those rules were actually made by, you know...
I think it was LS.
Yeah.
It was LS that started it. He just said, no, names are a suggestion. Although before that, I think it was Artosis who would just pronounce people's names no matter what he, like, how he liked.
I think a lot of, you know, Korean casting in general will just eventually, if you trace it all the way back to the source, it is just tasteless and toast.
It's just damn.
That's the reality of the situation.
Yeah,
this game does feel a lot more even, as you were saying, and I think these first fights are going to be big. DRX going to be looking to find a single target so Teddy can get a big ult off.
Ooh, Fleta, a little bit far away from the rest of the team here as the teleport is going to come in from Yehu. He can get over this wall pretty comfortably.
Players running.
Down to 50%. This is only the second here. DRX don't necessarily need to go all in for this one, but the boulder is going to connect. There's the Weaver's Wall to trap DRX in here. The Closer not actually going to use it, and it is going to be the Drake secured here by DRX. Seismic Shot goes wide as well. And B&K, I think they're just going to be backing away from this one. There's the flash, Solar Flare. There he goes once again, but Pleta this time is going to be punished in an instant. The Impale is decent from Frog, but there is zero follow-up. And they might be able to get a Cassante, but no, he just flashes out. DRX, you didn't have to do that. Oh dear, Yehu, he's in trouble. There is the flash to get himself out of the way. Sponge diving on in. The Pulverize comes down as well. They may have bitten off more than they could chew, but it looked cool while they were doing it.
Did it?
I guess.
Did it, Atlas?
I mean, at the beginning, the start of the fight was good. Why?
I don't think it looked cool.
Yeah, they almost got Sponge. I think that's why I thought it looked cool, but they didn't actually even get him.
Teddy, man on a mission, but he's just a girl. He doesn't have his ultimate.
Yeah.
Can't do a whole lot there. That was a one play. I guess you lose the dragon. Hextech obviously is great, but Pleta, I'm sure Dan crying in agony as his support favorite makes a bit of an overzealous angle there. If he hits the ult, I think it's fine, but obviously he's going to get stunned up immediately. And then I already said, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Tristana, especially with Flash, just gets underneath the wall and then into a Viego in particular.
Oh, he went down to 0 health and then just gives them the good old thumbs up.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Yeah,
They're like, oh.
That's the B&K reaction cam.
No! Yeah, that's...
Yep.
Oh, they know.
Yep. Girl on the right was like, she was feeling my feelings.
Guy in the front, no emotion. It's like, I've been a Sandbox fan since 2018. I've seen things you can't even imagine.
Yeah. And we can't.
We can't.
No. Actually, we were there the whole time. And they promoted,
won.
remember, like, Sandbox promoted to the LCK alongside Griffith.
Atlas.
Been here for a long time. Yep.
You know how in the previous game I wanted DRX to win? And there's a couple of moments that were a little scary, but then everything was fine.
Uh-huh.
Here I'm like, B&K, you lost the Drake, but you could have, that could have been a big win.
Yeah. And it was, until it wasn't. You know?
Well, then it isn't.
Yeah.
If it was until it wasn't,
but it
it's
wasn't.
not.
It was a big win. If you pause the video, big win. Success. Beautiful. Clear pretending to do damage here, which is kind of cool. Sponge moving on up. And Clear is going to respect it as he sees the mist creeping across the river. And Execute just playing with his Hex Flash. You love to see it. Exactly what you should do. And with control of the mid-wave for now, Kraken Slayers coming in abound.
Oh, Herald fight.
Yeah.
One item spikes done across the board here, except for the supports.
Sponge just scoping out the area. And Yehu's moving in, teleport from Frog to get him into
5v5.
the fight. Well, let's see. As closer, he's rotating over, does have weave as well, so he can be there at a moment's notice. These rocks are being thrown around as Frog's upheaval is working out. Continuing to try and throw them, but not really going to find
Yeah, they
it
didn't
out
have
here.
banana brush control, and the side waves are getting pushed in, right?
Yeah.
Top needs to be caught by Yehu, and they are just going to let this one go instead. Not wanting to give it up.
I don't think it's end of the world giving it up. I think the Dragons, like now that they can see that it's a Hextech Drake, that's a very, very pivotal soul.
And
So I think setting
yeah.
yourself up for making sure you have control over that area is a good thing. Herald is really good for that. That's a really good point. So in a minute's time...
Did you just make a point yourself?
Yeah, I did, and then I
really
counted
good point.
myself. Yeah,
That's so based!
yeah. It was mainly because the point was against myself. It's a really good point for Fear to go for that.
Oh, I respect it. You know, you always gotta like your own tweets as well, just to make sure that, like,
Wait,
yeah,
you don't do that?
There you got 1 like already, bro. You're already starting up on a good foot.
Heck yeah.
What I do think is that, particularly with the Hextech gates, it is a lot easier to regain control and to get access to the dragon in general. So we do see that now. DRX aren't really able to turn that, letting that go into a meaningful lead. It doesn't matter though. We both know these two teams, I don't think either of them is really going to out-set up the other. It's just going to have to be a fight.
Oh, Teddy going to have to immediately flash. Henner is just diving on top of him here, but Teddy wants it, and he'll find the solo bolo. Raptor also burning to death here as Pleta tanked up so much of this damage clear. He's going to execute him in the end, and the Void Seeker not going to find the mark. Teddy wanting to take down Execute, but Frog's right there with that one. And Sponge, he gets to play his favorite champion, just turns into Talia and takes him down. I now get it. It's dawned on me, that's how he plays Talia. He just gets closer to pick her so that he can kill him and play her.
A foolproof plan here for DRX as we engage on top of Pleta, because Teddy immediately flashes out of range. And I was actually looking for Teddy to rejoin his team with his ultimate, and he says, bet, I win this 1v1. There's a reason why I picked this Kai'Sa. Blows Hannah up, and this, after the previous debacle as well, where they got the lead, I think DRX, that's another Hextech Soul point.
Yeah.
Atlas.
They could go 8-0 as far as Dragons are concerned in this game. And the Rift
now you
Herald
dropped the Heralds.
wasn't even dropped. You're exactly right.
Oh.
This is why I made that dumb point that kind of was me having a conversation with myself, and it was all for nothing. Oh, all of that embarrassment.
Well, you were right if they had done that, but they didn't.
Yeah, I guess.
So, BNK really, So it would have made sense for DRX to win, right? I think that these two teams, I think it's one of the most split votes of the week.
Yep.
And we expected them to be close. But specifically the way in which they're playing here is it's kind of rough.
This is not the known quantity.
No,
this is better.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what you love to see. That's what you want to see week after week.
No, so this is the I was saying BNK Fearax, not DRX.
Oh.
I can't believe this is the first time this has happened.
Huh.
But
I was saying that, you know, this is better than we were expecting out of DRX.
Well, that's also true. Because I think they look way better here.
Yeah.
That win against Hanwha, maybe it wasn't Hanwha KW, maybe it was DRX PogChamp.
Exactly. It's the same thing about Kwangdong Freaks, you know. Maybe they are just the second best team in the LCK. That's what the standings say.
As far as like individual sentences I've said, that might be one of the worst ones. I'm not gonna lie. Like it left my mouth and I'm like, oh god, that was horrible. But DRX, they're playing amazing, and BNK, in their worst times, one of the things I always give them credit for, right? I was a 2022 Live Sandbox fan. I've been through a lot of pain. But they did always look like they were on the same page, and there was a different iteration of this roster. Outside of Closer, right? All the players are different, have been changed from back what they were when. But that identity, I feel like, was always a really big part of what made this team good. And we're just not seeing it right now, Atlas.
I feel like Raptor and Execute, unfortunately, just have opposing views. And I've heard that a similar idea was with the Willa Execute not working together, but it seemed to me like they had at least the same I'm going to go in and do stuff attitude. Even if that stuff was different, the vibe was the same.
Well, I mean, like, we do see, and again, this isn't, I don't want to hone in on an individual member of BNK FearX, because I feel like outside of Closer and to a lesser extent Hannah, this is a shared blame. But it's a really big problem, and if they don't.
But I mean, that's what it looks like when you have people on different pages, right? I think that's the result of that. It means that you just don't have the same level of cohesion as you would otherwise. And I think DRX have really shored theirs up, right? Like, they have clear identities in their players. I think they've really lent into the fact that Yehu really likes to skirt fights. He doesn't necessarily want to be the flashy go-in guy. And that sort of works with the fact that Frog and Sponge are very happy to go in alongside Pleta and get that done. Leave Yehu there to just do that DPS and allow Teddy to just be good. And I think Teddy's had, so far at the start of this season, he's looked a lot better as well. I think that a lot of people had some doubts about Teddy and his ability to find some form. Of course, when he was on Live Sandbox, it was not really, it wasn't the savior storyline that we would have, could have expected from the opening video, if you remember.
It was a bad time. It was no good times were had. I just can't believe I'm in an LCK game where Sponge's Viego is like popping off.
Yeah?
I didn't expect that coming in from the draft, and of course, DRX haven't won yet, but like, it feels so reminiscent of the last game where, again, they have Soul Point, they have a, not insurmountable, but a pretty sizable lead, and they have 3 carries, all of which are fed.
They don't have control of the bottom side river with 40 seconds.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, because I think they can brute force their way in. With Skarner especially, and Leona as well, we saw there, they tried to engage on Leona and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Between Aftershock and Eclipse, there's just not enough damage available.
When it comes to champions that can freely face check and ward, Leona's probably pretty high up there.
I might even, like I'm trying to, might be the, because Nautilus for all of his strengths,
he's just, he's sort of pseudo-tanky is what it feels like.
If he doesn't Aftershock, if he doesn't start a fight by CCing someone, he just kind of...
Yeah, the press W strategy of the Leona is pretty powerful.
Yeah, it really is. This is a must-win fight here at 4BNK. I want to see them find one target, blow them up. I don't care who it is, but there are not that many. As long as Sponge has his ultimate, Teddy's positions well. This is going to be tough. Raptor has a big task. He's the one that I think is going to decide who to go on.
You can see Frog waiting on the flank angle. Clear is going to spot him. Closer moving back in. Of course, we've got so many champions that can just be there at a moment's notice. Killer Instinct and Weaver's Wall on both sides of this fight. Sponge taking a bit of damage here as in goes Raptor. Pleta just knows exactly what's going on, though. They dive in on top of the jungler. He does get cease and desist off, but he's not able to take down Teddy. And it's a double for Yehu to start off the fight. Teddy is smashed out of there, but Execute cannot get it done. Closer still doing a fair bit of work, but look at Frog. He is just a beast. And Teddy will now be able to get some damage. They're not able to get the dragon, though. That's a bit of a disaster. Finally, they do manage to get some of this work done as Closer gets over the wall and Teddy gets there with the Acathian Rain. That was way closer than it had any right to be. DRX deny the soul, but it's an ace for DRX.
Oh, complete cage fight. It's Armageddon in the pit. We're going to have to see a replay on that one because that one was hard to keep track of. So it starts with them wanting to engage onto Sponge. And Sponge obviously is hard to lock down because he has his ultimate. And Pleta also stops it. So then Pleta and Teddy go into the pit.
The fact that this ult goes off from Raptor is so big.
Not only that, but then this is looking like a one fight and then Execute. So he knocks Teddy out, which feels good. But Teddy was also about to be knocked into rocks by Closer. Yeah. And in the chaos of it all, I think it makes sense. Then crucially, Closer, who is really trying, man. Like he really is. Gets the dragon, so he denies.
Did Closer also accidentally press on the Hextech gate?
No, I think because if you get the gate there, then maybe you can execute or get out.
Oh, true.
Like, I imagine that was his plan, because he's never winning the 1v1 against.
Right, so thinks that he can outrun. Yeah, okay.
I
kind of cute. It's completely like neither here nor there, but It was very funny as we've got another fight breaking out here. Nice stun. Gonna come down yet again, and Raptor just explodes. Henna now throws down the ultimate. He is burst firing, finding a few options, but they managed to take down Closer in amongst it, and Henna just cannot do enough. It's a triple kill for Teddy in the end, and finally, Yahoo decides that it's Henna's time to die. Henna is gonna back away from there, but this should be the Baron. A clean 2-0 for DRX, what?
Okay, Atlas, I know you were a DRX predictor.
Yeah.
But this.
No.
Right?
No. I love
it.
I'm not gloating at all after this one. This is not what my prediction meant. My prediction meant it's going to be 3 games of I don't know, and then someone wins. This is not this.
I'm impressed. I think DRX, finally they look like a team, and this starts off Raptor. Unfortunately, his struggles continue. They try to set up that he gets 100-0 there before anything can happen. Again, I think this Kai'Sa pick is such a great call, because what the composition of BNK does best is find target, isolate them, and kill them.
Yeah.
Right? But if at any point anyone gets CC, Teddy can show up and say, hey, we got more burst. And now the Baron has been taking.
He's 7-0-6. Teddy is having an absolute day out.
Yeah.
He's also got his arm guard completed, 3 items, and so I don't think anyone's going to be out DPSing this Kai'Sa in this game.
After last spring, I think it's important to remember how rough that was for this DRX roster.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, a really big moment. Getting a win this size.
Whoa. Well, BNK might be able to do some damage here to Frog, who impales a couple of people and will then eventually die. This will be a sacrifice of an inhibitor turret, I believe, but maybe it won't, because now BNK are in a good position to rotate down. They are going to do so immediately. Backs are going to come in. This could actually cost a whole lot of Baron time for DRX. Really nice play to try and hold on to this game from BNK.
Well done by BNK there. Finding the angle. Oh, they're looking for the exit. 25 seconds still. Frog is back.
Okay.
And Gale is in here.
Yeah, execute moving down. Pleta finds a Zenith Blade. Immediately he's looking to try and get out of there, as now, speaking of getting out of there, Sponge is going to do the same thing, but they just dogpile him. They jump right on top, and they're able to take down the Viego. And DRX kind of routed.
Big win.
Oh, God. Okay, so we've got another Hextech Dragon coming up in a minute's time.
Yeah, and
Sponge's going to have 20 seconds to get there.
It's fine. He has Hex Gates. It's actually
not that hard. Never mind.
And he's Viego, so he'll be very speedy.
Okay, I take back all of the drama. It is just going to be the same sort of hustling.
Oh, no. There will be drama, but just not with him.
Yeah, not that.
It's actually better because they're all there.
True.
It's 5 versus 5.
And I also, in my brain, it was, but they got Soul, so this is going to be Elder. It's not, because they didn't, because the Talia randomly threw a rock at the Drake.
Sometimes all you need is one rock.
Yeah.
David, he knew, although he didn't actually throw the rock, he used the slingshot, which is kind of cheating. As here...
And also the Scorpion just had one rock and it didn't do him any good.
It did. The big thing is that they only give up Sponge. I think giving up the kill, not the end of the world. If they would have actually, gotten routed and like maybe lost an inhibitor or lost more members, that could have been the end of the line. Sponge has his flash available as well. This is going to be another uphill battle for BNK.
Ooh, there is not a lot of banana brush control here for DRX. They do show themselves though as they get out of the brush. Frog teleporting in, 50% health on this Dragon. BNK got to pull the trigger at some point. Let's see who locks this one down. It is going to be the secured by Raptor. So no soul to come in. The rock's playing a huge part, but the seismic shove doesn't hit the mark. The all-out comes in. They managed to get rid of Pleta, and now DRX are trying to bail out of the situation. They get the crash though, and Raptor goes down as well. The Void Seeker comes through. Teddy, remember, he's 7-0-6. He's massive, but he dives on in. Execute's going to be taken down. It's raining a Cathian on top of the cow. The Viego's going to fall as well, and Klee, you thought you were a tank? Not to this Kai'Sa, my friend. And Henna, he's just going to have to back away as well. The Void Seeker comes in, no killer instinct, but Frog, he just, picks him up with that E ability that should be an R. And he's just going to throw him against the wall. Okay, Closer gets himself out of there with the wall, but this could be the fight DRX used to win the game.
Oh, happy Teddy is dancing on the rift.
Oh yeah, 9-0-8 now.
And often with Kai'Sa, I can feel like she just she ults in when all the cooldowns are down. No. This is Teddy taking the game in his own hands. So the smite is a 50-50, goes the way of BNK. Things are looking good because they isolate Pleda. The rest of the team can't really follow because of the way Clear isolates the target, and everything is looking a little bit scary. The Raptor oversteps, Frog gets the kill, but here BNK look like they still might make it out. And then Teddy goes in, utilizes the stealth. Has his Zhonya's and his barrier, right? So he's feeling so confident. If he doesn't make that play, BNK just get a dragon, and they get to make it out, and that might just be the end of it. But instead...
And Frog just being a freight train.
테디, 와, 나이스. 다 미드.
Yeah.
Yep. Pleta just like, Teddy, nice. Let's go mid. And I think Pleta has been a bit of a hero. Of course, playing with rocks and having a Zenith Blade is just not a fun time.
He's still doing this. He's still doing this.
He certainly is. He's the one that sort of has to be the sacrifice.
But I was really leaning towards, you know, like Sponge, obviously, maybe Pleta. But after that play, I gotta go double Teddy.
Yeah, I think
Like
it has
I
to be
think it
double
might.
Teddy's.
I think it might be time.
I mean, if you're getting towards like double-digit kill assist with no deaths, I think that you're almost going to get there based on KDA.
Oh,
Have to be doing
this is
something
all or
right.
nothing. 7K deficit here for BNK. If they can kill Teddy, might still be doable.
Yep, they have to get through the shield as well as the Zhonya's. It's a tall order. Certainly a possibility, though, as now you can see Pleta looking for the angle. Void Seekers are so scary. That's why Jonas Strong is zooming in on them. Sendo Beam. They want to break this shield so bad.
It's going to evaporate. This is Kaisa and
Yeah.
Stana. And Viego?
Yeah. And Pleta is just going to say no
It's
to
gone.
anyone turning up. Yeah,
It's gone.
Before it's even up, it is down. And Execute might be able to start some sort of fight here, but the Baron is not on the cards anymore for them. 2 minutes on the next Dragon, the next opportunity for a Soul. And a Soul point availability here for BNK if they're able to get another steal. But they do have mid lane control. That's going to give them another mid lane outer turret.
That's a bounty.
Yeah, so that's pulling it back to about 6K, I believe, as the dust is settling. But we're not really starting on our Red Bull Baron power play just yet on the side of DRX. So this one has to be a better one than last time. Losing out on picks really does slow things down, and that was absolutely the case the first time they took the Baron. This one's going to need to be better.
The main thing that I imagine is on the mind for DRX right now is, okay, we can have one person inside. Looks like it's going to be Yehu, safely pushing.
And
All we care about is Dragon.
Yeah, they also got this ward here so that Frog doesn't die again. Nice.
You gotta keep him safe.
Oh, Teddy has a 2-level advantage.
Yeah, that shouldn't come as a surprise, given
No,
how a lot
really.
of this game is played out. If you think Teddy hurts now, just wait until he gets a Hextech Soul. This is what he's going to be looking towards.
And then it's not even about him hurting, really. It's about him pressing W and slowing everyone, which is just
It's so
unfair.
obnoxious. Yeah, and getting vision.
Yeah.
And then eventually, obviously, people will get worn down. They have decent people to tank it, right? You have Clear, you have Execute. It's not, especially with Warmox, it's not about the poke.
Ow.
But it does add a ton of value. As we
And
can see
Closer
there.
is not one of the people who can really tank it. Clear, you can
No.
see, very much is. As Execute going to get stunned up there by the Solar Flare, but Pleta not going to be able to find too much more outside of that. They don't get the ult out, which is probably what they were looking for.
Yeah, that's not bad. I would advise against fighting in these choke points, but
More Void Seekers.
you gotta go in, right? Like, you're not winning the poke war. You don't really have anyone that can reliably poke. You need to find someone. How are you gonna find someone if you have no control?
Yeah.
There's no vision, Atlas. They're gonna have to give this up.
Yep, that's going to be Hextech Soul going over to DRX. It feels a bit late, like 10 minutes late, but they are still able to do so. And I think thanks to a lot more measured play, right? Frog getting caught there in the mid lane certainly was bad news for them in the last situation, but now certainly better. They do sacrifice a fair bit of this Baron in order to make sure that that Dragon does go their way, but it is a very pivotal Dragon. And we've got DRX now pushing down towards this bottom side. The inhibitor turret now going to be their prize. You'll be able to get it here. I mean, they look at it and it dies.
Yeah, fat Tristana here.
All right, there's a headbutt pulve onto Pleta. He doesn't take damage. He still doesn't take damage. He has to flash, because that's when the Eclipse and the Aftershock wear off.
Hey, he flashed, but still not taking a lot of damage.
Yep, Frog does not care about your walls. And so he just
That's
walks through it.
That's an inspirational story. You know, we all have walls holding us back in day-to-day life.
Not Skarner. You have to just wait for a champion rework, and then you can also not care about the walls in your life.
What an inspirational tale.
I know. It's beautiful. He missed his kind until he didn't exist anymore.
Has Frog only played Animal Champions? Because I think he's only played...
Let me just double check.
In the LCK, obviously.
I mean, Rumble is a Yordle.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
I'll allow it.
All right.
I just want to keep the bid going. If it played Jax, it'd be over, you know?
Yeah,
that'll be the end of it.
No, it wouldn't quite work out. But Frog has definitely looked better on... he's only won on Animal Champions. A Scorpion and a Crocodile thus far. So there you go. He was 50-50 on the Scorpion before this game. He's looking a little bit like moving the needle up to about 66% here in the LCK for this season. As
Hail Mary angle.
Yeah, they do spot him out as Execute moving on in there. And Raptor gonna have to Vault Break his way out of there. So pretty cool, calm and collected is the play from DRX here. Just testing the waters, making sure that they do not bite off more than they can chew. And we have a Baron up again in 1 minute 30. If at first you don't succeed, and then if at second you don't succeed, the third time's surely going to be better, right?
Hey,
that's the saying.
Looking at it from the glass, you know, half full for BNK, eventually you're going to reach a point where the gold doesn't matter. The Soul will remain a really big nuisance.
But now that Soul has been picked up, it's Elder flipping time.
Hey, Raptor's a Challengers player.
There you go.
He's already won some of these split. Well, just one. He won the previous one. The one before was won by closer. Somehow.
Well, Yahoo now has 6 items. It's a lot of items. It's in fact the most items you can have. That's my point. It's over to you.
So, someone in my Discord brought this up. How so 2 items is 2 completed items.
Yes.
And boots.
Oh, right, yeah.
But 6 items.
So technically it's 5 items based on our own terminology.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's...
Sell the shoes, Yahoo.
You can get Zephyr, right? Just get the cool upgrade.
Yeah, true.
Seen it on Zeri a bunch already. I'm sure Aiming has already... I forgot how many he's bought, but as Gold King, he has the expendable income to make that happen.
That is true. We don't know whether it's necessarily efficient, because that's not really the way when it comes to aiming. He's just got so many stacks. All right. DRX, I mean, it has definitely slowed down. Yeah, that first Baron, the speed of the game has been quite slow, as we do have Cease and Desist connecting onto Sponge, and he just says, well, that's cool of you to do that.
It was only, there was no follow-up.
Yeah, there was a Weaver's Wall, but it just wasn't really able to work here. As Solar Flare also a little bit wanting, you could say. But DRX, I think they have them where they want them. Frog is an absolutely gigantic health bar, staring down BNK.
Look at the bot wave. At some point, someone on BNK is going to have to respond.
Yeah.
Most likely closer because he has TP, but that should still provide the opportunity. Again, Baron isn't real when it comes to DRX. Okay, this is going to be gone in seconds.
Well, you can see Execute wanting to get there in seconds, and the rest of BNK are in the area. Extendo Beam doing some work here as Execute does throw down the ulti. There's the Impale, but it's onto the count. Not exactly the priority target. And Sponge gets out of the pit. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but they managed to take down the biggest tank. And Teddy, he still wants to be able to get in there. There's a Killer Instinct, goes golden, manages to avoid the seismic shot, but now he's in a really awkward spot. He needs to be the one to carry this, and Henna is going to go down. Teddy! He just wipes BNK off the map! And that was almost a disaster. Yeah, who's just going to win the game? I think he would have won the game anyway, but that's the 2-0 for DRX, and such an important game for them up against BNK Fearex.
What a great day to be a DRX fan. That final sequence might have left you...
What a great day to be a Teddy fan, man.
That might have left you with some heart palpitations.
Yeah, I was a bit
sweats.
confused about where things were going in that one. As Clear and Teddy, bit of a cuddle, of course, formerly teammates.
Yeah, very cute to see. DRX, the 2-0 here. And we've talked about Keen and how, you know, after finally having teammates, you see kind of him coming into his own. We've talked about this with Dudu, a player that basically played the game by himself for like a year.
Yeah.
And now it feels like Teddy has actually come back as Frog doing a scar. Look at that.
He's so cute.
Adorable.
Indeed. As Closer not having the greatest of times here. And Sponge, and indicating that the bank battle was indeed won by DRX this time around. And yeah, bit all business here.
Oh.
I like how at first he's like just does the normal thumbs
The
up
classic,
thing,
yeah.
and then he's like, now it's time to go insane. I love it.
Teddy, don't give us that face. You know you got. You know you got.
No, now that's the sheepish. That's like the I know I did a good job.
I know.
I did a good job today. He absolutely did. Pletter as well did very, very well, and indicating that yes, they did indeed win the Bank Derby.
Yeah, the previous vote, I think, very justifiably was split. I think there were a lot of people to vote for in that one. I think there were a lot of great choices. This one,
definitely Frog.
he did actually play a good game.
Yeah.
Oh, he got caught.
There was that
time.
call, and he was just being a
He was
plus.
just
He was being a
Scarter.
plus, being a good old
yeah.
stomach guy.
Sponge, though, the Viego
Very good.
ended up working out.
Kind of made me a believer in the end of how the Viego can be piloted in this composition, because it looked a little bit worrying, as this was some heroic engages from Pletter, realizing that traversing all of these rocks really does not feel great. But this was like, we're looking at this highlight, we're like, DRX highlight, yes. If this didn't happen, it would be the BNK highlight.
We might be getting into game number 3.
Yeah.
Right about now. BNK, in some ways, I think really their own worst enemies in this game. Really felt like there were a couple of angles that were given to them in these messy fights.
Yeah, I think a lot of like Pletter's execution and plans and angles in a lot of these fights was also really impressive. Just every time I see this guy play, I get more and more impressed.
I keep drawing a comparison, but it really did feel the way that we saw with the light on Rayon, where you're like, come on. And you know what? We kept saying, what if you take Platt and you put him on a good team? What if he already is on a good team?
What if DRX just
what if
a good
DRX?
team?
Because this realistically wasn't that close, and they also took a game off of Hanwha. And again, I with some unfortunate phrasing highlighted that sentiment already. What if it wasn't just Hanwha having an underperformance? What if DRX is legit?
It's looking pretty good to me. Although this last fight was...
Yeah, it was a bit scary.
It was definitely very scary.
This was Hannah really going.
I think, yeah, he just goes up to this brush and says, okay, guys, I'm going to win the game.
And then...
oh, no, never mind. When's the teleport actually starting here? Is Teddy? Yeah, okay. Yehu actually comes in and helps kill everyone and then teleports down. So it's fine. It's fine. I thought he bailed early.
Frog and Sponge.
Pletter and Teddy, bit of a cuddle there, and Yehu very happy with how their older brother is doing here. 44.9k, yeah, not too bad.
What a feel-good moment for DRX here.
Oh, yeah.
For BNK, this has got to be a learning opportunity, because I feel like, especially that game 2, this wasn't an unwinnable scenario. You had a great draft, the gameplay needs to be better, and for DRX, man, what a way to go.
What an incredible series for DRX. And let's see whether they can keep their heads up and head into the next one as strongly. Speaking of heading towards places, let's head over to the space, see what they made of that best of 3.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POG interview translation, joined by Teddy on the side of DRX, who just got a 2-0 victory over BNK FearX. Congratulations! Teddy! Long time no see on the stage for the POG interview. How do you feel? That was a quick 2-0, and with the solo POG, makes me feel very good. It was pretty nice. How would you rate yourself today? For game 1, think I was able to land some of my ults really well, so maybe 7 or 8 out of 10 for game 2. I scaled really well and did really a lot of damage, but I feel like I was playing a little more timid, so I'd say maybe 8, 9.
앞으로 2점이 더 남아 있습니다. 팬분들이 정말 기대 많이
So
하실 것
an
같습니다.
8 on an
오늘
average.
상대했던 BNK POX 굉장히 호전적인 팀으로 유명하잖아요.
The BNK VRX is known for being an aggressive team. So what was the main plan to deal with them?
일단 BNK 같은 되게
As for BNK, yeah, they're actually really aggressive.
후전적이고 싸움을 안 피하는
But
스타일이라서
we're just as aggressive, and that's really the color of our team right now. So I think we were already starting off with a lot of confidence that we would win.
싸움을 피하지 않고
And not
우리도
avoiding any
호전적으로
team fights
플레이를
was
하겠다라고
actually what paid
말씀하셨던
off.
것 같습니다. 1세트 제가 기억하기로 애쉬를 첫 픽으로
In
가지고
game
가셨는데요. 궁극기를
You
활용한
guys took
정말
Ashe as your
선택의
first
의미를
pick.
잘 살려주셨습니다.
Your ult
혹시
usage
테디
was
선수
amazing. You
본인만의
demonstrated the
궁극기 좀
meaning
잘 맞출 수
behind
있는
that
어떤
blind
비결이
pick.
있을까요?
So how are you so good at landing your ults?
맵
Any tips or
지형을
know-hows?
이용해서 그냥 맞출 수밖에 없는 각을
Just
이용해서
using
쏘는 느낌으로
The map
롤을 좀
layout.
많이 하신 분들은 그렇게 쏘는 걸로 알아요.
I feel like a lot of
연습을 많이
experienced
해서
League of
실력을
Legends
익혔다.
players actually
네,
do
그렇게
use
하시면
that
잘할 수 있다고 합니다.
when
꼭
trying to
한번
land an Ashe
연습을 많이
ult. So you would
하시기를
know if you know.
바라겠고요. 아마 오늘 경기 중에 가장 팬분들 입장에서는 재미있었던 장면일
And
것 같은데요.
for
제가 장면
the
하나를
fans,
준비했습니다. 테디
There
선수의
was
큰
a
넘치는
moment
리액션
where
장면입니다. 함께
it
보시죠.
was the most entertaining, where your personality shined right over here in this
장면인데요.
replay.
혹시 리액션 어떻게 하셨는지 기억나시나요?
나는 흔들어버려 하면서
Do you
좀
remember
신났던
how
것
you
같은데,
reacted here?
네.
Yeah, I
네,
said
테스트가
just
붙이는
shake
거
it.
알았는데 점프 거리 중에 좀 아쉽긴
I was
한데
really excited.
어쨌든 뭔가 좀
Yeah,
어그로를
the
끌었다
Tristana
생각해서
jump was a
근데
little
다 죽지
bit of a
않았나.
bummer,
네.
but
그래서 신났던 것 같아요.
네, 그래서 곧
we
나올
were able
겁니다.
to clean up over here. I got so happy in this moment.
네.
Teddy's saying, kill them all, yeah.
좀
Just shake
좀
it.
부끄럽네요.
혹시 부끄럽다고
I'm
하시지만
so
기분 좋은
embarrassed.
말이니까 한 번만 다시 해주실 수 있나요?
예?
Do you want to
아니,
reenact it
팬분들이
as
좋아하신 것
today is a
같아가지고. 아닌가요?
great day for you?
하면서 뭔가 좀
Shake it!
좋습니다. 테디 선수 행복롤 하시는 모습 굉장히 보기 좋습니다.
We love
네,
to
그리고
see you
이
playing a
세트가
happy
왔습니다.
game
이
of
세트는
League.
상대가 4전 전승 중인
And in
제리
game
알리스터
two,
조합을 꺼냈는데요.
The
카이사
opponent
레오나와
locked
맞대결을
the
한번
Zeri
이번에
Alistar
처음이거든요.
comp that's
어떻게
undefeated
상대하고
over
가시나요?
4 games. And this was the first game where we saw a
거의
Kaisa
밸류가
Leona as a
괜찮다고
response. So
생각해서
what was your game plan?
그냥 한타
I thought that our comp had a pretty good value, and I think
좀 편안하게
we went in with
생각하셨던
the
것
mindset that,
같은데
yeah,
제리 대
if we
카이사
win the
구도가
team
굉장히
fight, we
많이
can win.
나오거든요. 지금 2대 0으로 제리가 좀 전적하는
And Zeri
앞서 있긴
Kaisa
한데
matchup is
1대1
actually
구도에서는
frequent
카이사도 확실히 좋아 보입니다. 테디
네.
선수 어떻게
a matchup.
평가하시나요?
So
네, 어쨌든 사실 제리
What are your
카이사
thoughts
구도할 때
on
맨날
the
쫓겼다는 건 제리 쪽인 것
Zeri
같고
Kaisa
카이사가 유리한 것
in
같아요.
1v1?
근데 이제
I feel like, yeah, in a team fight, maybe Zeri, but Kaisa does do a lot better in a 1v1.
장단점이 있고 조합이 좀
And it
중요하다.
really
이런
does
말씀으로 이해해도 될까요?
matter on what
좋습니다.
it really does depend on what your top side comp is as well. And in game 2, we saw you solo kill Hannah and get an ace, and then, despite the questionable moment at Baron, the cleanup from you. So let's take a look at this replay. What was your read on this game at this moment? I saw that Alistar trying to tunnel into me, trying to act like he was going into me. And I can actually waste their flash by reading their movement. And being able to survive here was actually really good. Were you a little scared here? You know, overall, we knew that we were going to win it. I just had a feeling. You know, if I died, I died, but I knew that we would win. And yeah, I said, carry.
그렇게 오늘 태장군 모드 제대로 보여주셨는데요.
So you showed up today in your general Teddy mode, and in the opening week's walkout performance, you expressed your dream of becoming the MVP. So as the older brother leading the team, what mindset and goal do you have for the summer? Everyone's playing so well, and we're trying our best, and I'm also trying my best to be better, and I think my mindset is just, let's just keep doing what we're doing. And you will face Nongshin Red Force next for this week's Saturday Showdown. What is your resolution?
넥서스의 두 번째 계보를 입고 있는
At this
선수인데
moment,
제가 다음번에 상대로 첫 번째 넥서스의 위험을 좀 잘 보여줘야 될 것 같아서.
You know, I
화이팅,
want to make sure that I show him who the real original
감사합니다.
human Nexus is against Jiwoo. And that's the end of the interview from Teddy of DRX and back to the space. Thank you.